So once I felt that there was just no real priority towards us as first time homeowners, I lost faith in
Your realtor.
the realtor.
Sure.
And I didn't have other options
Yeah.
at the time.
Okay.
Okay, so we're live, and thank you so much for taking my invitation.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And so much going on in the housing market.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's crazy.
introduce yourself.
I am Shonda Draughn. I go by thetriangle's housewife.
Yeah.
And so that's a story in itself. But I work with a group called the Gluckin Group, and we're a team of 5 kind of just like-minded realtors. Not a traditional team in that we each have our own individual businesses, and we just kind of help each other out, which is cool.
Okay.
But we are affiliated with Compass, which is kind of a newer, a little more fresh, up-and-coming real estate firm.
What makes you guys different? Because I know it's
Compass or the
different
Gluckin Group?
Yeah, just the Gluckin
Compass,
Group.
I think. Oh, well, the Gluckin Group in general, I feel like we are, as far as different is concerned, just a little more young, a lot more involved with like an online presence, social media, marketing, that sort of thing. We have been together for a few years, and we were really, really focused on first-time home buyers, giving people the knowledge and that we felt like was missing, I guess, like especially people our age. So we are just a little bit younger of a team.
Popping on Instagram.
We are definitely, definitely Instagram famous.
Yeah.
At sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately just 5 like-minded realtors who are really, really passionate about getting people in homes and helping people sell homes and making as much money as possible.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. So let's just jump right into it, because
Okay.
why waste
Why
time,
not?
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the housing market is on fire,
Yes.
right?
It
I mean,
is.
is that a good word to use?
Yeah, it's definitely.
For some, it's very beneficial, but for others, seems like there's a little bit of a lockout, right? In terms of being able to find housing, the bidding wars, the culture that's changed around just, when you go into a home now, I mean, there's no concessions that, you used to have because the seller was motivated to sell the home.
To sell their home, right.
Now, you may or may not, depending on that seller,
Right.
have improvements to the home. Buyers seem not to care, right? I mean, it seemed like they're willing to go above and beyond just to get into that property.
Right. So, I mean, ultimately, we are very much in a seller's market. I have been in real estate since 2015, and it's always been a seller's market, not to the extreme that it is today. We were a little more balanced 2015, 2016, 2017, but it definitely there's definitely more benefit to a seller at the moment. And like, kind of what you said, sellers aren't making a lot of improvements to homes. They're not offering a lot of concessions to homes, but ultimately it's because so many people are looking to purchase and so few people are looking to sell. So most sellers are, putting their home on the market, and within hours they're receiving offers.
Crazy.
Some of them are sight unseen. People have never even walked into the property. They're going based off of a neighborhood or just the photos or a virtual tour, whatever it is. And yes, people know that, these homes are going to be competitive. And so they are offering well over list price, well over what, a home might appraise for. And they're basically saying, and we'll pay the difference. So, a lender, as far as an appraisal goes, is only going to give you what an appraiser says your home is worth, minus your down payment. And a lot of buyers are preparing themselves or in a situation where they're able to and offering to pay the difference just to win the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is happening nationally as well, right?
It is, yeah. So, I mean, nationally, it is a seller's market. There are areas where, real estate isn't wonderful, but for the most part, it is happening everywhere.
Okay, so my thought is that is this about more of the urban centers that's having this influx, or the rural areas are having the same competitive, bidding wars and so forth?
So, I mean, as far as the triangle is concerned, when you're saying rural, we're thinking Clayton, Smithfield, even Nightdale, Mebane, Burlington.
Right.
They're still seeing this influx. It may not be as extreme as it is in downtown Raleigh, but even on the outskirts, even kind of more rural, they're definitely seeing price increases. They're definitely being competitive, and a lot of people can't afford to live inside of Raleigh. Like, they have been completely pushed out, and those areas where, especially first-time home buyers, or people in the $300,000 to $400,000 price range, they're having to go out. So, and there are lots of people who that is kind of the price range that they're in, and so yes, even in the urban areas,
listen to this.
Yeah.
By the end of December 2021, Wake County had already reached an historic highs in median real estate prices, nearly $400,000.
I think right now it's $420.
That put the median home price to over $480.
Really?
And this article was done April 7th.
Okay.
So $480 as a median home price in the triangle. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
It's nuts because 3 years ago it was $300.
So I'm reading this and I'm saying, as a potential first time home buyer myself, I was looking at like $350 as a max, and now I'm like, that's I may not even be able to find anything in that range.
Yeah. So I mean, it won't be it likely won't be in Raleigh or even in Durham. And Durham is worse than Wake County.
Right.
Durham is funky though, right? Like people like the
people
who love Durham are very much Durham, and Durham has fewer just restrictions on like the type of home you can build, the impervious surface, these sorts of things, and people really like that about the quirkiness of Durham, and so they're willing to pay more, right, to be where they want to be.
Let me add this in.
Yeah, this
was interesting that even homes over $1 million are having the same bidding wars, which, okay, so I'm like, even homes, because there are fewer $1 million homes than there are single family, like first time, 200,000. Right. So, of course, supply and demand plays a role in that. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, the bidding war would not be as crazy as you go up, because the behavior may be different at that level. That's my thinking. But
and I think that people who are spending over $1 million on a home are a little bit more particular.
Right.
A lot of times those are, forever homes.
Correct.
I think that what's happening, honestly, is that there are a lot of people who are moving from California, from New York, from New Jersey, from Florida, and they're selling their already $1 million homes. They're making a pretty good profit, and then they're coming here and they have the cash to spend. So they're, even if they have $300,000 or $400,000, they're buying $1 million home, and that's only a $700,000 mortgage for them.
So in other words, it's a great time to be a real estate agent, right?
I feel like it's always a great time to be a real estate agent. I always tell everybody. Well, I wasn't a real estate agent then, so I haven't experienced that. But I have stories, and I've worked with agents who were fine in 2007 to 2012.
Gotcha.
It's about the way you build your business. People are always going to buy houses. People are always going to sell homes. And I feel like it's maybe not a very good time for some people to sell, or a very good time for some people to purchase. But ultimately, I think that it's always going to happen, right? You're always going to have sellers. You're always going to have buyers. People are always going to move to one area or leave another area. So being a real estate agent is all about, yeah, I think that as far as like social media goes, we really like pride ourselves in doing the fun, real estate in general can be like super serious business.
Yes.
It's a big deal.
Right.
It's a huge investment, that sort of thing. But I think that ultimately we want to show people that it's a fun process, right? This is something you should be excited about. This is something that,
All right, cool. Switching gears just a little bit. When it comes to first-time home buyers, and I'll throw my personal story in there. We were set to go, family of 5. I got 11-year-olds. I got a 3-year-old. So we're looking for space to accommodate everybody, right? It was becoming very difficult to find space for everybody for the price. And so I kind of did I just did my own research. I was just looking, and I happened to be on Facebook Marketplace and did a little research about the for sale by owner.
Right.
And for you guys who don't know what that is, that really basically means that the seller, correct me if I'm wrong, puts the house on the market or may put a sign out in the front yard and says this home is for sale, and there's a number you call, and typically you can work directly with the person who owns
That's
the home.
correct. They are not using a real estate agent to
I know a little something.
assist in the transaction.
I'm not in the field, but I know a little something. So I did that just because I was frustrated, just wasn't finding anything, and I just wanted to see what was out there.
Right.
Well, lo and behold, there was a home that piqued my interest, and I just said, let me go out and look at it. It was in Sanford. The homeowners were there. They were scheduling appointments. Met the folks.
I'm nervous.
They talked to me for an hour and a half. Now I always say people talk to me like they tell me stuff that I never asked them.
Sure.
I don't know what it is, but it's cool. But that particular evening, I was tired, so I just wanted to come see the house. But it was a great vibe, and I went home. I was like, man, it might be something to this. Land, it was like, space. It was too good to be true, kind of. Price was right, and so we had to kind of move quickly to put in
put in an offer.
I had the pre-approval, and so we were in the range of what they were asking, and everything was a go up until we needed to get the loan certified.
Right. To actually do like the...
Yeah. It was an FHA loan, and it all fell through. And we lost thousands of dollars on the down payment. And I went home, and I cried like a little baby.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because it was supposed to be the moment.
Right.
We're building up towards this. And, I work for myself, so this was kind of like it was worth it to be working towards this goal.
Right.
Like this was why you're doing what you have to do.
But I think that, like, I guess more of my question was in that particular, once you found the home on Facebook Marketplace and you wanted to move forward with that for sale by owner, did your realtor at that point help you?
No.
So you emailed them and you said, hey, this is what we'd like to offer you? Like, what did that look like?
When talking with the
seller.
I'm the interviewer. Why are you asking me questions?
Okay, I'm sorry. I won't.
No, this is good.
I just kind of want to know, like, ultimately.
Let me kick my shoes off there since you want to interview me.
If a seller, right, is representing themselves, that's one thing. But for you to go at this, and you were working with the lender, but were you asking the right questions? You know what I mean? Like, how did that fall apart and nobody was there to kind of tell you why?
Okay. Because some of this is still, I'm still sorting through it, right? And that's part of the learning experience.
Yeah.
And I still don't know why we had a pre-approval, but then the loan was not approved.
Right.
So that's something that I'm still learning about. And you may be able to give me a little bit more information on the mortgage lending side. But also, once I felt that there was just no real priority towards us as first time homeowners, I lost faith in
Your realtor.
the realtor.
Sure.
And I didn't have other options at the time.
Okay.
That's why now I'm saying, and I think it's important to be proactive, especially in home purchases. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not ready, my thought, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but get the knowledge.
Absolutely.
So that
you can prepare yourself.
You're ready when it's time to be ready.
Absolutely.
So now I'm in this phase of saying, let me reach out, let me get the information, but also too, let me get other people the information so they don't make the same mistake that I did. Because I did research. Like I spent 2 years on working on credit. I did I did a lot of the making sure that we were in the right position.
Right.
And it still didn't work for us. Mm-hmm. And I can only imagine people who kind of go into this very emotional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of emotion.
It's a huge thing. Yeah.
Like, and let's be clear, like even people kind of bring their faith to it. Like, God told me this is going to be the house. Listen. Okay. Let me throw this in there too. We wrote the letter.
You did.
We did the letter.
Love letter. Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, did I? I laid it on thick in that letter. And, I was even going to do, this is kind of funny. I was even going to do a YouTube channel.
And send it to them?
Send it.
Yeah, you were going a little bit out of your way.
So, okay. And I was like, they probably not reading these letters. And then once I started understanding what was happening in the market, I was like, this is about dollars and cents. Like this is about.
There are sellers who are super emotional. This was their home. This was supposed to be their forever home, or this was their first home, and they are emotional about it, and they want to know that somebody who is going to love it and take care of it. Yeah. And so that's where love letters come in, and they can be successful. But yes, if there are two very similar offers and they're and they're winning, and a love letter comes in, they might lean a little bit more emotionally, to the one that has the love letter.
When you said two offers in the running, they're probably
that are similar.
They probably got some money on the line, right?
I mean, at this point, yes.
Right in this market, there's probably tens of thousands of dollars.
Sure. Very easily.
Whereas like, do we take the $19,000 or the $20,000?
Well, I mean, but sometimes $19,000 and $20,000 isn't that big of a difference.
Sure.
But if we're talking $10,000, if somebody has offered $370 on a $350 and somebody's offering $355 and has a really great love letter, that may not make the difference. And there are going to be ways of, a love letter is just a step above. It's just another step, right?
Does it work?
Yes.
It works.
Yes. It
didn't work for
us. It did work for you, though. It worked for you because the sellers ultimately, they chose your offer. Right, and I don't know if they got other offers, but they chose to work with you. They were excited, and it could have been y'all's conversation at the house. It could have been, whatever it was.
I think that they wanted to sell to somebody who was getting into their first home.
Yeah, and that makes a difference.
My situation was it didn't work out because the loan
lender
was not certified. So that was my situation. Mm-hmm. But okay, so somebody is saying, okay, right now I want to get into my first home. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who desire it, but
sure,
where should they be looking? Because it just seems like you got to go out further.
Well, I mean, ultimately, you should be looking where you can afford, right? So you have to figure out.
That was a great answer.
You have to figure out what you're pre-approved for. You also have to figure out, like, according to that pre-approval, are you comfortable paying that amount every month? Because you could be approved for $1 million, but if you only want to spend $2,000 a month, you can't buy $1 million home. Yeah. And so you need to have those questions and those conversations with the lender. And I would say start with a real estate agent. If you feel like you even have the desire to purchase a home, I think that having the conversation with the real estate agent who's going to tell you, hey, this is the minimum credit score that you need. This is what the market is looking like. This is how much money you should probably have saved. And if you aren't there yet, there's no real reason to talk to a lender.
Okay. All right. Walk us through it, because I feel like people go into this ass backwards. If
Sure.
I can just say it like that.
Sure.
Where they're like ready to buy a home, but they don't really understand how much is involved. And as much as there's information out there, I still feel like we still have to keep talking about this, because you cannot just show up to a real estate agent and say, I'm ready to purchase a home without, you got a bunch of stuff that is lingering on your credit. You got to, you don't have money saved. Because to me, I feel like you still need to have money saved, even if you're doing an FHA or conventional.
You do. It costs money to buy a
USDA.
house. Even if you don't have a down payment, there are fees or costs that are associated with purchasing a home. So, you want me to talk about just what is required? Yeah. Okay. So,
because there's a lot of young people who really are in better position than they think, but I don't want them to get out of position because they think, oh, I can never purchase a home.
Right.
When it's like, you actually are in a good position. Just stay the course. You may not be fully there, but don't mess your credit up now.
Right.
And then trying to get it back. Because I feel like a lot of us, we messed our credit up, and then in our 30s, we're trying to get it straight, and then it's like, well, we get discouraged, and so by the time we hit our 40s, when really it's like, that's kind of life,
right. And that's most people's story,
unless you hit the lottery or just got cash on hand or whatever, or your business is just booming like that. I mean, most of us have to kind of take the traditional route.
You take out some loans, you take out a credit card, you spend the money, you don't pay it back in time. Like, I feel like most college kids, or at least the ones that I went to school with. So ultimately just kind of leading up to or being prepared, right, to purchase a home and to get pre-approved. The things that a lender looks for is going to be obviously your credit score, your debt to income ratio, and then just like 2 years of consistent income. Unless you have a salary paying job where it could just be your offer letter, or, this is the amount of money that you're going to make yearly. They can a lot of times accept that. You can qualify for a loan with as little as a 580 credit score. That is typically FHA. So you normally have a slightly higher down payment, 3.5% as a first-time home buyer,
which is average around $3,000 to $5,000.
So it's 3.5% of the purchase price.
Okay.
So if you're buying a $300,000 house, 3.5% of that is what?
$3,500, somewhere in there.
3.5% of 300,000 is 10,500.
Okay.
So that's just your down payment. Now, once you get a little bit higher as far as your credit score is concerned, you start to be able to qualify for different types of loans. So 580 is FHA. Once you get to a 620, you start to qualify for a conventional loan, which you'll then only have to put 3% down as far as your down payment is concerned. So that is $9,000. So you've cut down $1,500 as far as your down payment on a $300,000 house. And then as you continue to get better as far as your credit score is concerned, you start to then qualify like 660, 680. You start to qualify for some first-time home buyer programs where you might get down payment assistance. So somebody's helping you with that 3% down. You can start to qualify for things like USDA.
Yeah. Again,
100% financing, but you have to, purchase a home within a certain rural area. But then the better your credit score, the lower your interest rate, which obviously plays a big role in your monthly mortgage.
Right.
But so once you have your credit score together and you have, so the other thing is the debt to income. Most banks want to see you to have like 43% or less of your income going towards your debt. And that is inclusive of your mortgage payment. So your car payment, your credit card payments, your student loan debt, anything that you've like taken out a loan for and you're paying on monthly is what's going against your debt to income.
Yeah.
Things like your cell phone bill,
right,
your utilities, like that stuff doesn't count. But they essentially want you to have, 43% or less. Now, the higher your credit score, the higher they might let that ratio go. There are some lenders, if you have an 800 credit score, who might even let you go to 50%. 55% of your income can go towards a debt.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you this. Is it important to develop relationships with the bank, or it doesn't really matter because whoever your real estate agent, they may have a bank that they're using?
So most real estate agents, if they're good real estate agents, are going to have somebody who they work with and who they trust and who we would call them a preferred lender, that I would say, hey, this is the person you should go talk to. There are people who want to work with their bank. So, somebody, they already have a relationship. They know that their bank does mortgages. The thing about that is most lenders are, as far as like your interest rate is concerned, or the program, they only have their programs, right? And your interest rate a lot of times is based on, if you're doing an FHA or a conventional or a USDA loan, your interest rate is based on what the government has said your interest rate is going to be, unless you're able to pay it down, which is another option. So having a relationship with the bank doesn't really get you anything different, unless your lender is just willing to give you some sort of like credit or that sort of thing.
So I say know the lending process, right? Like understand at least the basics of that.
Right.
Like a lot of times I think people just see a house, they've been on Zillow,
Right.
and they're like, this is the one. And, you guys look at the MLS, right? Like there's a different setup that you guys use to see what's available.
And what happens is the MLS actually syndicates to Zillow. So the homes that are available are coming from the MLS. Like the stuff that you see on Zillow is coming from an MLS.
But in this market,
system.
it could be late, right? It could be that they're not.
Normally it happens within like 15 or 20 minutes. So it syndicates and it says, hey, this home is available. What isn't always correct information on Zillow is like that Zestimate. That's, is saying this is how much the house is worth, or what your payment is going to be, because they're using a calculator which doesn't include your HOA stuff. It doesn't always include the correct tax amount. Nobody knows what your interest rate is going to be, or Zillow doesn't know what your interest rate is going to be. So it kind of gives you a good idea, but it's normally not very accurate.
Love it.
Yeah.
How can we find you? And, this is your time to shine. So.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. I am the Triangle's housewife on everything. So Instagram.
And we'll put a link in the description. And
That
all
would be
that.
great. Instagram, Facebook, you can find me, The Triangle's Housewife. You can also find me on thetriangleshousewife.com, which is my website.
Okay, website. I didn't know you had a website.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
You'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Well, this has been great.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me.
No, I certainly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come in and give us some insights